Structure tables. Structure tables are a very effective and visually appealing method of displaying structures and chunk sentences for a class to see. They are especially effective if you involve the class while creating them. You let them fill in or suggest the information, and they can come out and write it, and they can be part of creating the table for the class. Giving them the responsibility to create it and be creative makes them more involved and makes them more invested in the outcome of the activity. Moreover, it helps them retain the information. When you do this, you need to think about how you can implement it. How are you going to involve the students? You don't want to stand with your back to the class while you're making this. You want them to be creative and give you some input. You need to think about how you can make it interesting, make it about topics they like, make it about things that they are interested in. How can you involve the class more? And how much time will it take to set up? Finally, how can you use it to practice the structures? These are things that you need to consider. Okay, so now you've seen an example of structure tables from the previous part. I have a task for you guys. I want you to design your own table for practice in your own class. Examples could be how many are there, or present continuous tense. Whatever you decide to use as your structure is up to you, but I want you to plan it out. I want you to think about how will you implement it, how will you write it on the board, which parts will you emphasize, how will you explain the aim and drill it to the class. Will you do it as a whole class? Will you do it as groups? Will you do it as individuals? How will you practice it? Will you practice it as a role play? Will you practice at pairs? You need to think about these factors. And you also need to think about how long it's going to take to set up, how long it's going to take to explain, and then how long it's going to take to actually use it in the class. Using drawings on the board. Making use of drawings on the board can be helpful, especially for the younger learners. It can help them with retention. Bright, beautiful pictures are going to be more interesting to look at than a whole block of text. As well as this is a good method to use for explanation for things like verbs to give them an idea of what the action actually means. You can use it for shorthand if you don't want to write out full sentences or paragraphs. All in all, it's just good for emphasizing the structures or the vocabulary that you are trying to teach. Another good way to use drawings on the board is for older learners especially. You can draw a single picture or a couple of pictures and get them to try and create a story or try and create a role play based on the pictures that you have drawn. Obviously, you can do this for younger levels as well and just make it much easier. Basic sentences, there is a, it is, I like the, because, and so on.